Oh yeah, good morning. Mobility Monday, Monday morning, December. I'm making a little switch from coffee to tea. I've been using the athletic greens for almost 2 years now. And that's kind of taken the ritual away from that first thing in the morning coffee and switched it to the first thing in the morning athletic greens. And now my flavor profiles have changed a little bit. And so I'm a little bit tighter with the whole idea of having some tea after my athletic greens. And I think what that's going to do is increase my level of sensitivity to caffeine. I think I'm pretty sensitive to it. That's kind of in your DNA and your genetic makeup. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good switch for me. So hopefully you're up and ready to go. It's a little bit early, and when we start early, I've got one more little thing I want to do really quick for my setup, so I can kind of follow along with all of us. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend. I'm not sure if you follow the running scene, but one of my favorite athletes and one of your, I'll call us Team ECFIT, because here you are on Monday morning, but ran a 2:26 in the California marathon, and it was her first go at a marathon, which is kind of fun because I think I don't think she really knew what to expect. I mean, Sarah Vaughn she's just fast, but yeah, to be able to do what she did, there we go, to be able to do what she did in California, be strong enough, be confident enough, be athletic enough. I mean, all those things were never really in question. It's just, could she go the distance of a marathon? And her husband, Brent Vaughn, both Colorado Buffaloes, have been an amazing team. So I've been a part of Sarah's team along her journey. I'm her friend, and I'm so proud of her. So anyway, she threw down quite an event. But I've been traveling a little bit, so I've got a little bit of a sore back. I think emotional stress and traveling stress are just as hard on your body, maybe, as some training and racing. All right, let's grab that foam roller. Put it right below your shoulder blades. I want your knees not flaring out to the side. Let's keep them nice and parallel, and your feet nice and parallel. 2 hands behind your head. You want to take note, are your elbows out front? If they are, go ahead and just take them back so that they can be floppy. Let your elbows and arms, let the weight of your arms be floppy. Let's get a little chest stretch here, a little mobility through that thoracic spine. And then it feels like a crunch as you come out of it. Let's hit that same spot 5 times. 2. And if this region of the body is tight, even just from working on the computer, maybe driving, maybe going to visit your mother, you'll feel it right away. Okay, push into the foam roller just a little bit further. So we're going to let that foam roller travel down a little bit lower on your back. So it's even lower towards the lumbar spine. And let's hit this spot 5 times. Hands behind the head. Come back to start. Take a big inhale as we go around. And then exhale as you let it go. 3, 4, one more. And then let those elbows, just let them be floppy. Your shoulder blades should be free. They should not be squished by the roller. So let them go together in the back. Okay? Good. All right, let's keep on this spot right here, and just go ahead and hit right underneath the armpit, and we're just going to roll that lateral aspect of the ribs. We'll hit that one side, and this is going to help loosen up into your low back. These lats, if this is the back side of your body, they roll all the way right down to the sacrum. So if you're ever really, your low back is sore, don't start foam rolling and hitting that with your percussion gun. Take care of that upper back maybe first. And that you can start to decrease tension and that tugging up or down on the, it's called the thoracolumbar fascia. It's one of my favorite words, actually. I try not to use too many big words. I don't really know too many big words. So underneath the arm here, armpit. I'm sure there's some technical name we could use. Make me sound super smart. All right, let's work that all the way through the rib cage. All right, good. So next move we're gonna do, keep the foam roller close, okay? Let's go ahead and just do a little check-in on how easy we can get into neutral pelvis. So from right in this position, again, feet, let's internally rotate the feet just a little bit. Knees not flopping out to the side. Keep them nice, coming straight out from the hips. From right there, put your hands on your hip bones. Drive your belly button into your spine, and you'll feel your hip bones get flat. Flat hips, neutral pelvis. Now, let's go the other way. Let's create some space so that you can put your whole hand under your low back. Feel your hip bones, pointy hips. Anterior tilted pelvis, pointy hips. Flat low back, flat hips, neutral pelvis. Let's keep that neutral pelvis. Lift both feet straight up. Pull your pubic bone towards your belly button. You're going to feel that low abdomen just turn on, switch on. That should feel good. From right there, just nice, gentle tapping of the heels to the ground, but stay really vigilant with your low abdomen that you do not lose contact with the ground with your low back. Seems easy. And you see people doing these in the gym all the time. They're like, oh yeah, my physical therapist has me doing these toe taps and or heel taps, and what they're forgetting is to keep the contraction down low in the lower part of that pelvis and in through the pelvic floor. It's amazing how that works as well. So let's add a component to those heel taps. We're going to go ahead and flatten the hips. Keep your head back. Flatten the hips. No space under the low back. Now I want you to pull your rib cage just a little bit further away. Let's go ahead and take that sphere of tension. Reach through your upper back as far as you can. See if you can get some tension and some length between your pubic bone and the bottom part of your ribs there. It's where your xiphoid process is, another big word of the day. All right, so hands overhead, and that's creating tension through the lats. We're pulling away from the pubic symphysis. We're pulling away from the sacrum. And from right there, let's lift those feet up. Flat pelvis, engaged low back, and we're just going to do those heel taps. Your thumb should not be on the ground. 3. Control. Good. 2 more. And good. All right, from right in that position, just listen to my words and just kind of follow along, okay? Take your right leg and wrap it around your left leg. So your right leg is up, wrap it nice and tight, no space between the thighs. And from right there, let's take your right hand, put it on your stomach. Your left hand is going to go way up in the air. Pull your rib cage, nice tension through your ribs. Now your right leg is going to pull your left leg to the right. And it's going to cause traction through your left hip. And right here, I want you to reach through your left arm as high as you can. Take a big breath. You should feel tension through that left psoas. Low back might be popping and cracking. And bring the arm down, release the tension. And think about it, guys. What do we do on Mobility Monday? Are we stretching muscles, or are we expanding our movement bubble by making an imprint on our fascial system? Well, I'm going to tell you, it is the second one. Okay, left leg over the right leg, nice and tight. Right arm, nice and high. Left arm on the stomach. The left leg is pulling the right leg across the body. We take a big breath. Tension through the right hip, tension through the belly, tension through the rib cage, tension through the lat. That entire lateral fascial line. TFL, IT band, still all in the game here. Nice big reach. Try to create as much space between the ribs and the hips as you can. Big breaths. If your fingertips are not splayed out and reaching, go ahead and add some tension into your hand. One more big breath. And bring that back. I want to do each one of those one more time. And hopefully some of you started to recognize that when you have tension in your hand, it can actually add tension to the entire line of that fascia. If you want to go deeper on that, you should read Thomas Meyer's book, Anatomy Trains. And I can put that in the show notes for you guys if you like. All right, left leg across right. And let's pull right arm up. And we're just getting that right side again through the right hand. Good. Pull through the hip. That left leg is actively pulling traction through the right femur. And pull that back. All right, let's go the other side. Right leg across left. Again, no space between the thighs. Left arm as high as you can get it. Right arm on the stomach. And the right leg is actively pulling the left leg apart. Even the breath is adding tension into that line. One more big breath. And good. All right. Let's go ahead and get up. We'll change position here. We're going to take it into that lateral, half kneeling position. And from right here, we'll get a little bit more of that inner thigh muscle, that adductor. So as you push your hips back, keep your head up. You can see if I drop my head, I lose tension in the adductor. Crazy. Okay, push the hips back. We can add a little counterbalance. You start to recognize when you reach through the hands that this extension through the arm is adding tension into my adductor. And just pull that right back. Keep that far foot nice and straight. Push the hips to the back. Scoop the hands from the bottom. I like to scoop the hands from the bottom as per learning from Dr. Eric Goodman, foundation training, because it keeps me out of the upper trap. So when you want to just scoop from the bottom, arms give you that counterbalance so you can push your hips back, work that hip hinge even more. Okay, left leg out, nice and straight. That foot, nice and straight. That's going to give me length through the lateral aspect. The fibularis used to be called the peroneals. Now it's the fibularis. But that's going to give me that ankle mobility. So a tight ankle and an immobile ankle might be externally rotated. So make sure you turn it in. Take a big breath. Push the hips to the back. Keep the eyes up, nice and strong. You get that adductor lift. Push the hands to the front, push the hips to the back. And you want to create an active, dynamic stretch and loading with this. I don't use the word stretching a lot. I'll use the word loading because we're loading tissue. But you can add a more dynamic aspect to that by working the expansion of your rib cage as you get into that loaded position. All right? So let's push the hips back. Adductors add a little bit of tension. Scoop the hands back to the front of the body. Push the hips back a little bit further. Let's go 3 big breaths here. Keep tension. And 1 more. And good. All right, let's get up and move around a little bit. So give yourself some room to the back. I'll get my sticky mat forward a little bit. And we're going to start with 2 feet forward. The step is going to be kind of a ninja step. So it's an opening of the hips. This is a very weak position when your feet are externally rotated and your hips therefore are open. So we like to work this anchored position much more than the externally rotated position. So the first thing we want to do is let that opening happen. Open, feet are perpendicular, but then we work the strength of coming back together. So let's just go that little transverse step. We'll go 10 of those. 3. Working those hip rotators. 4. There's a lot of power in those hips when it comes to running and cycling. 5. That you want to keep them online, these hip rotators, and you want to keep them healthy. And they are going to come to work and show up for you. Good. Let's go 1 more time. Open and close. Had another great ECFIT athlete result this weekend at Daytona. Clash Daytona with Rudy. Rudy von Berg had a very nice podium finish after coming back from mono. So typically when I start with an athlete, they're in pretty darn good shape. Sometimes I'll get them, they're a little injured, but Rudy came, he's a very healthy young man and a very talented triathlete. And he came to me healthy last year in the spring and the late winter, and we started doing some work. But then he went off to Europe, so we had to do more of the remote kind of training. 1 more. And good. All right, let's take that back down to the floor after working through more of those hip rotators. But then when he contracted mono, you know, he just had to rest. And so his body, he built that body back up into a very, very, back to himself almost. He's not there yet, but he should be very happy with Daytona. I am. Right here, we're just going to do happy hips. I call this happy hips number 1. So feet outside the mat. So your feet are quite wide. We're just going to drive the right knee and the right hip in, and then the left knee down and the left knee, or left hip across. So just right here, we've got a little bit of tension from the hip. We're not just diving the knee in. So let's let the whole pelvis go. Happy hips. Hip comes across, hip comes across. 4, 5. I've got my sweats on today because it's kind of cold in Colorado. It's been like summer in Colorado for a long time, and today was the first morning. I haven't even really had the heat on in my house. I was freezing getting up this morning. Okay, good. Let's lay on back. We're going to go some linear movement. Straighten that right leg. See if you can get those hips nice and flat. Grab the back of the left thigh, and we're just going to go ahead and activate quads by extending the knee and just get a nice gentle loading of the hamstring. 8. You know, these things are relatively simple, but I really appreciate that you guys find value to show up. So I'll try and keep it entertaining, because I think for the most part, the basics in anything, any any endeavor, you know, we like to entertain people, but I'd rather entertain you with stories than circus moves with regards to how the body functions, and specifically to making sure that you guys feel great for the week. So thank you for joining me and finding value and interest in it all, that's for sure. Okay, right leg back out. You want to have nice flat hips. If you can keep your low back tight to the ground, I want you to do that. Straight leg. And now let's just extend and flex through the ankle. But all of the things that we do on Mondays, I got to tell you, they're the same things that all of my professional athletes do almost daily. They don't, we're careful not to do too much because the nervous system and the systems of the body can get fatigued. And most of you guys, or most of us, are already carrying a chronic fatigue load called training and life. So I just want you to know that I don't have a special program for them. We're all human beings. We have different aspirations and goals. And the beauty of having these guys go compete on a public venue, whether it's CIM or whether it's Daytona, is right back to happy hips number 2. And we're going to add a reach across. Okay, so we're going to bring the thoracic spine in with the hips. So drop down, right leg across, right hip across, right arm reaches way across. We get a little bit of tension through the thoracic spine on the back side of the body. And then the other side. I don't want to leave Emma out this weekend. Emma Palant Brown in South Africa. I think she won another bike race. So that's kind of fun as Emma season playing with the bike racers. Obviously, she is a very good world leader in the world in women's triathlon. So we're excited about getting into 2022 season. But yeah, it was a good weekend. All right, good. Last one for happy hips, and this kind of takes us to the front, the fascial line, the front line of the body. Nice and wide, arms overhead. And all we're gonna do is drop in, and now the whole rib cage is coming across. So there's movement all the way across, and that's gonna get that lat and psoas if you want to take that top leg and extend it a little further, get a little more tension through the front side of the hip, feel free to do that. Rib cage all the way across. Good. And good. All right. Okay, so opening up the psoas, opening up the front side of the body gives us the opportunity to get much more activation of the glute. So let's go ahead and get into the half kneeling position. Tuck the big toe under if you can on the back part of the foot, 90-90 half kneeling position. And from right there, after you take a big breath, I want you to load this hip, this back hip, by just driving the right knee forward. And then I want you to actively squeeze this glute, your left glute. If your left knee is down, go ahead. I like to give that little bit of intention towards lifting and elevating and lengthening the front side of the hip as you fire that back glute. And then release that tension. So when the glute fires, we get length on the anterior hip. So it's another one of those dynamic stretches, a little bit of reciprocal inhibition. If you show me strength, I'll give you length. So strengthen the glute, actively fire the glute, nice big breath, and lengthen the front side of the hip. Those of you with high hamstring issues should be doing this movement pretty much every day. Pull the front side up. Use your breath to elevate and lengthen. Actively squeeze the glute. You're probably going to get a little more tension in the quad. I tend to not have really tight quads because I do this stuff all the time. But I got to tell you that if you have high hamstring, I've had high hamstring issues before. I know what they feel like. I've had plantar fasciitis. I mean, I'm kind of like a human being, right? Okay, so nice big breath. Get a little bit of tension here. And from there, we're going to actively squeeze the right butt. And we're going to get length and tension on the right front side of the hip. Keep your eyes up nice and tall. Don't look down. You can feel it. And then just come right back out of that. Ready? Nice big breath. Elevate. Tension in the hip. Activate. Switch on the butt. Get a nice quad stretch and space through that anterior hip. Okay, good. So the 90-90 position, half kneeling position, actively squeezing the glute. That's the first time we've done that with this group. Now I just want you to go nice and wide on your stance. And from right here, I want you to take 10 fingertips. Push your hips to the back. And just the left hand touches the ground, all 5 fingertips. Now, you have to be wide enough so you can actually, that brings you down closer to the ground. Push the hips back, reach for the ground, forward. So we're working a little bit of thoracic spine mobility with the reach. The hips should follow just a little bit, and then push the hips back. This is going to be the last thing we do today. All right? Turn the toes in, nice wide stance. Push your hips back about 3 inches. Take a big breath. Make sure that you have space between your ribs and your hips. We got a little bit of a turn. Single arm reach. Come all the way back to the front. This is going to be the right hand next, so the right hip is going to come forward. Push back just a little bit. Come right back up. We got 5 each side. 3, 4, keeping your head in a nice neutral position. 5, push your hips back, encourage your hands forward. 6, 7, push your hips back, hands to the front. Take up space. 8, 9, and 10. All right, shake that out. So I just want to recap here really quick. Thanks for coming to Mobility Monday. I'm going to keep showing up every single Monday to help you move better so you can train harder. Today's session, obviously, if you have a coach, follow the coach's plan. But if you don't have a coach, today should be about something easy, but a little bit up tempo. So whether it's a hike or an easy run or an easy bike, get your body moving for 30 minutes at a little bit of a zone 1 or a zone 2 based on 5 zones. So you're going to keep it very aerobic, very easy. Tomorrow, Tuesday, should be a harder day. Tomorrow for ECFIT athletes, that's usually a strength day. So tomorrow is a strength day, tomorrow is an interval day. Wednesday, very typically is a tempo day. For this time of the year, sometimes it's a long aerobic day. Thursday is usually a strength day. It's another interval day. It's the off season, so sometimes it's just go use your mountain bike or your gravel bike and get out in the hills a little bit. So it's a little bit easy, a little bit harder than a zone 1 or zone 2 riding or running. It's day 5, Friday. Friday's usually a foundation training day in addition to Wednesday. So Wednesdays and Fridays, we typically do foundation training. So if you have my app, ECFIT On Demand, I've got, I think there's about 20 foundation classes on there to follow and choose from. So Wednesdays and Friday, foundation. And then Saturday's usually a strength day for most of us. Some people don't have strength on Saturday because they're just plain strong enough. So 2 days is good for them. So anyway, hope you have a killer week. It's the holidays. Stay positive, spread some joy, stay hydrated. And as usual, I just appreciate you guys coming. Mobility Monday. See you next week.